Before I begin the video, I just want to say if you're trying to decide between getting Everspace 1 and Everspace 2, you should probably get Everspace 2. I've played both, and so far Everspace 2 is a better experience in terms of exploration, combat and story. But I will make a full video on Everspace 2 sometime soon. Okay, now the video can start. Wow, what a surprise! A video about another roguelite. Hey, it's not my fault there are so many good roguelites, and yeah, this one is really good. It's a spaceship shooter with a focus on exploration and combat, and obviously the roguelite elements. And the game's story has one of the best explanations for the whole roguelite runs thing I have ever seen. Apart from maybe Rogue Legacy. Premise. You start the game off by having a bad case of amnesia while flying around in your spaceship. And you have nothing to go on except a set of coordinates. But as you get closer to the coordinates, you remember. You are a clone of Adam Roslin.
Wait, what are you saying? My original? I'm a clone. Yes.
Actually, depending on how good you are at the game, you are several clones of Adam Roslin. An infinite supply of Adams, with the one goal of getting to those coordinates. And you will kill thousands of criminals and an alien race of lizard people to get there. And also maybe some employees of Grady and Brunt if you're feeling greedy for some loot. So you don't have to worry about death, because if you die, a new clone takes your place and has access to your bank account. So he can buy upgrades for his ship with your pain and suffering money. But this will happen to him too, and the cycle will continue until you reach the coordinates. Gameplay. Flying the ship is pretty simple. WASD is forward, back and to the sides, with Q and E to rotate the ship. Space and control to go up or down, and look/steer/aim with the mouse. And finally, shift to boost, which only goes forward. That covers the movement you can perform. You can select between a third or a first-person perspective, which is nice. The shooting has a lot more to cover, but I'll just cover the basics and leave some stuff for you to discover. So for the shooting, you have primary and secondary weapons. Primary weapons are the actual guns, ranging from laser beams to Gatling guns, spaceship shotguns, and more lasers. There's a huge variety here, and I will try to show that off in the video, but the important part to take note of is the hull damage versus shield damage. Some weapons do more shield damage and some more hull damage, and some are very balanced. The secondary weapons are missiles. The light and heavy missiles are basic, just straight up damage. Corrosion missiles go straight for the hull, ignoring the shield, making them absolutely awesome if you're fighting a frigate or something like that. But my favorite missile is the Seeker battery. It is just very cool when it goes off and does a lot of damage. There's also the Arc 9000.
They're onto me. That's just what I need.
You also have devices. These can be passive items like the shield generator or the energy core extension, or active items like the cloak that makes you invisible, or the EMP generator that disables ships around you. There are way more, but I don't want to be here all day. Finally, consumables. Running out of energy? pop an energy injector, ship damaged, nano injector, or just repair it. You can also craft a combat drone to help you out in combat. Okay, now I can talk about my opinions and my feelings. When I was 7, I was running around in the garage, and then suddenly the cart that was in the middle of the garage just suddenly decided to stay perfectly still while I ran face first into it. Accidentally. And that made my nose bigger, and I feel pretty bad about that. But you probably want to hear about the game. It's fun, the combat can be fast, it can also be slow. You can actually survive most combat encounters by just flying your ship in a circle by going up, down and to the sides. The AI seems to be incapable of predicting where you might go next. They shoot to where you are, not to where you're gonna be. So, fighting one enemy is easy, but more often than not, you are fighting multiple enemies. This is where shit can get a little crazy and your piloting skills get tested. You are gonna have to fly around dodging, trying to use the debris in space as cover, isolating a single enemy to divide and conquer. You have to play this game like a tank in an MMO, trying to get aggro from specific enemies so you can thin the herd. Because if you don't, well, let's say being unable to move because of those fucking Weber drones and getting shot to shit isn't very fun. But conquering a difficult situation with your superior piloting skills is extremely satisfying. But preparation makes perfect. Some situations are just too crazy to handle with good piloting skills. That's why you need to explore to get good weapons like the Seeker missiles. That brings me to the exploration. It can be tedious because you don't know where anything is, so you have to look for it. Some maps you fly into are easier to see where stuff is, but sometimes you're just flying around hoping you find something. It made me very happy when I got an enhancement, which you have to look for by the way, that gave me the ability to see where everything is. I just lose the ability to see enemy health bars. Worthwhile trade in my opinion. So the exploration is not that great, it's just a thing you have to get through to engage in the fun space combat. But there is some cool stuff you can find in exploration, especially when you take the wrong off-ramp on the space highway. Guns sound great, feel great, and movement is good. Combat good. Exploration, If your sensor or whatever could detect items from further away, it would be fine, but as it stands, it's a little too tedious. Story. To be blunt, I mean, the mystery of being a clone and what happened to the real you is interesting, but I would have been fine if I didn't find out by finishing the game. I know that for a fact because I played this game 2 years ago and forgot about it. But I came back because the combat is fun. On a scale of 1 to 10, the main story is like a 6.5. The presentation isn't very good either. The cutscenes are semi-static images with voiceover, or a camera panning around ships during gameplay with some dialogue. The side encounters are decent. They are people you can find while going through the Rogue-lite experience, and they constantly make you feel like you are being taken advantage of, or screwed over in some way. And I don't remember a game where I felt like that. Except for Blizzard games, but that's the in real life me getting screwed over, not the character I'm playing. I think most of these encounters come from the Encounters DLC, and if you wanna play this game, I'd say you should buy that DLC too. It brings some much needed extra content into the game. In the side missions and the main story, you are constantly in a state of like, okay, what is really going on here? Is this guy I keep delivering materials to really trustworthy? Who is this Seth guy? Who is this lady that keeps helping me? Is Master Throng going to harvest my kidneys? And those actually get answered, and that brings me to a complaint I had about the story and a spoiler. So skip this section if you don't want to get spoiled. So this lady that keeps helping you is Adam Roslin's sister, that guy you are a clone of. And in the end, Seth kills her and the reaction from the clone is just a long Darth Vader no.
No!
And then it never gets brought up again. The clone doesn't even talk to the actual Adam about it. I just think there should be a little more of a grieving process for your sister. Or, I mean, he's a clone, so it's not really his sister, right? But the clone has the same DNA as the original, so biologically there's still like something. Okay, we are entering some philosophy territory, so let's just move on. Conclusion. It's a fun game. There are some rough edges, sure, but a spaceship shooter roguelite, it was a very fun ride to go through. But I did need to take a break after every run, because the runs can be very long, like 30 minutes to an hour. But I would be back to the game within an hour. It's a very addicting game loop, and since you always buy upgrades after you die, you always want to come back and test them out. Story is better than average at least, combat is excellent, exploration is okay, and the roguelite stuff is executed very well. You always have something to work towards. As for recommending the game, yes, but you should probably buy Everspace 2 instead. It is early access, but so far it has impressed me, and you can do a shift boost to the sides in that one. That alone makes it hard to go back to Everspace 1. I give the game 8.8 Seeker missiles out of 10 Arc 9000s. I'm working on the Everspace 2 video now, so that should come soon, so subscribe for that. Call me Uncle Brian and have a pretty good day.